Greetings, welcome to Lady in Waiting. This is Kathy Washira, and as usual, I'm very happy to be back to share with you. And today, I want to speak about the purpose of dating. And this is because when the purpose of a thing is not known, then abuse is imminent. When the purpose of a thing is not known, then abuse of it is imminent. And the reason why I've been led to speak about this is because when I look at the society today, the messes that we are having, the confusion that we are having, the pain and the challenges and the trauma and the mental stress we are having is based or is rooted mostly because of dating unnecessarily or not knowing what the purpose of dating is. And I'm using the word dating loosely because that is the term that this our generation understands. But when I look in the Bible, because for people who follow me know that all my teachings are based from a biblical perspective. I've not seen anywhere where people date, but I've seen where people court. You know a lady, or you identify a lady and you begin to court them. In other words, you begin to work with them as you prepare to get married. It was not just an open meeting where you keep meeting, it doesn't work, you discard that one, you go get another one, as it is in the society today. And that is why we are having a lot of challenges. Okay, so the main purpose of dating as a believer is marriage and nothing else. If you're dating as a believer, if you're dating someone and the purpose or the vision is not marriage, then you're exposing yourself to unnecessary pain and unnecessary hurt and unnecessary disappointment and unnecessary heartbreak. Okay, so the main purpose and the only purpose for dating someone should be marriage. I'm talking about believers. I'm not talking about the world. The world has its own way of doing things, and that is why it's quite messy there. So when you continue to date someone, because they are the initial, when someone asks you out for a date, they ask you because they know you, maybe from somewhere. You go to the same church, you work in the same company, you live in the same area, or there's somewhere somewhere he's seen you. Are you getting? Or maybe someone has told them about you. There is some little prior knowledge that they know about you. So in the initial, when the person asks you out, in the initial dates, it's just to know a little bit more. But the first instant is that they had interest in you. They liked what they see, or sorry, or they liked what they had. And that is why they ask you for a date. You don't ask strangers for date. You don't walk in the streets and tell someone, hey, come I date you. No, it's because there's some initial interest. And that is why they continue to date you, because they want to know a little bit more because of the interest that they have in you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the main vision should be because he wants more than that. It should not be for the sake of dating. It should be because he wants more than that. He's ready for the next step. So the initial date is just simply to know someone, and so that when he's making the decision that I told you that is marriage, he's making it from a place of at least some little or basic knowledge, because this is the truth. The truth of the matter is, you will never know somebody enough before you marry them. Because before you marry someone, this person or both of you have not been exposed to the elements of marriage. And marriage has a lot of challenges. You don't know how this person, or this person does not even know how you react towards sickness. If sickness comes to the family, how will he react? How will he react to the stress of having a sick spouse, or a sick spouse? Or how will he or she react when you have a sick baby in the house? Or how will he or she react or behave when there is not enough money, when he loses a job, or when you lose your job? How will he react when and all these challenges of life. So you can't really say that I am going to marry someone when I know you can't really know someone well enough, because it is inside marriage that the real challenges, the real elements come in, and that is when the true character of a person is going to be revealed. That is why you see when people are dating, everything is normally very smooth and everything looks okay. Why? Because they are not yet exposed to the challenges and the elements of life. But the minute that begins is when you start hearing, oh, when we got by the change. No, they just didn't change. This is now you're dealing with a real human being, and that is what we need to learn how to live with. And marriage is not something. Marriage is possible, and marriage works, but it's also challenging, and you learn as you continue in marriage. You learn how to know the other person even more. So you date to know the person. uh, uh, it is just basic. For me, I always say dating is just basic, because the real person, you know them once you enter marriage, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. uh, and also to agree that this dating, as we date, we are dating because we have a vision. Because remember, if there is no vision, this thing is going to become a mess. Where there is no vision, the Bible says that the people perish. If the vision of your dating is not marriage, then it is going to become messy, because then it becomes something that is open and exposed to anything that comes its way. If you don't have a vision, then this dating is going to lead you into a direction that you're not supposed to go to. If your vision in your dating is marriage, then whatever you do as you continue meeting is going to be directed towards your vision, which is marriage. But when that is not the vision, when you're just dating someone for the sake of it, then it is going to lead you to anything that comes, because you don't really have any direction. Okay. Number two purpose of dating is to enter into an engagement, or what we call a courtship. And this is the preparation or the walk towards marriage. And it is in this place where this relationship, and remember, the dating should not be something you do for a very long time. That should just be like an initial, the initial, just to know that what I'm going to enter, or this journey I'm beginning with someone that I have some knowledge about. But on the second step, or the next stage, should be an engagement or courtship. And these things, as I am saying them, I'm not saying that there is a set time or period. This will depend on your capacity. It will depend on you. It depends on what you're doing at that time, because there are people who engage, or when they're in school, so maybe they need another year or 2 or 3 or 4 to finish whatever they're doing, but they're committed. So when you are engaged to someone, regardless of how long it takes, though it should not take long, you should not be engaged for 10 years. What are you still engaging? Then it's like you're not sure of what you really want. So when you're engaging someone, number one, that relationship needs to be, you need to be accountable to someone, whether it is your church, whether it is your parents, whether it is another married couple, but you need to be accountable, so that when in case you're going a direction you shouldn't go, there's someone who can call it out and tell you, no, that is not the direction a believer should be taking. Your relation needs to be open, in that it's not a secret. It should not be a secret anymore. It is not like the dating, sometimes because you're still not sure, it can be, just maybe 1, 2 or 3 people know. But this one now should be open. Everyone should know that you're engaged to so and so. In this engagement, there is commitment. You're committed towards a certain point, in that you are committed to marry this person. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're planning in those months or in those years, you're planning towards that vision that you agreed on during the dating period. Okay, you should be preparing for your marriage. If it is depending on your capacity, depending on where you are, whether you're buying a house or whether you are going to decide to, you should be, whatever you do, you should be preparing or working towards the marriage. Whatever marriage is for you, that is what you should be doing at that time. Okay. Number 3, sex should never be part of this process. Anytime sex is involved in a relationship, the dynamics change. Sex will always change things. Sex will make it harder for you to break up from someone who you feel at some point, because sometimes people break up. A date can break up. If you feel these dates are not going anywhere, or this is not the right person, you can break up. An engagement can break because sometimes things go wrong. Maybe someone has become unfaithful during the engagement, or someone has, whatever it is has happened. But the minute sex is involved, because remember, as a believer, you have no business having sex outside marriage. Once sex is involved, then for sure, trust me, breaking up becomes very hard, even more harder for the woman, because we are the receivers. Because you feel like you feel like you owe, you feel not you feel like you owe, you feel like it becomes more difficult to leave this person, because of how your souls have now connected, how your souls have now tied together. It becomes more difficult. But when sex is not involved, and something happens, maybe you have to break up, yes, of course you're going to feel bad, because this is someone that you had committed yourself to, and this, but it is not going to be as difficult. Why? Because you have walked out with your dignity, you've walked out with your head high. It's easy to, with time, to quickly forget. But once sex is involved, then everything changes, because then it becomes complicated. That is why you see there's so much pain. When you see people having so much pain when they're breaking up, because sex was involved. If sex was not involved, trust me, it doesn't take so much pain. Yeah. So sex should never be part of this process. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 36, Paul was speaking to the church at Corinth. He was even saying, because I think he was speaking about courtship, I don't think he was talking about dating. He said, if a man finds himself not acting honorably, in other words, he can't keep the word of abstaining from sex from a woman, then he should, that is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 36, then he should marry them. If you feel you cannot control yourself, you can't wait, then marry. That is what Paul is saying. But sex outside of marriage is a sin. Sex outside of marriage as a believer is not acceptable. And it is not only that, but it is also going to complicate everything. It becomes harder for you in case you have to break up. That is why the breakup becomes so messy and so loud, because of someone has given, someone has taken, and for women, sometimes when things go wrong, we already know that something is wrong in the relationship and this thing is not working. We think, or we feel like, because of how we are built up emotionally, you think by having more sex with this person, it is going to keep them. But it doesn't keep them. It leaves you more and more empty. Why? Because you're giving to something that is already dead. So those three things, understand that the main purpose of dating is marriage. So unless you want to get married, please concentrate on your career. Do whatever you have to do to build yourself, because remember, when you build yourself, then you will know better, you will know who you are, and you will know what you want, and by the time you're deciding to date for marriage, you know exactly what you want, and you know exactly what you don't want. So somebody cannot play with your head. So dating is for marriage. That is the only thing. And it is so that you know the person, so that you enter into a courtship where you are accountable to other people, you are open, the relationship is open, there is commitment, and you're preparing towards marriage. Whatever how long that takes, I don't know. Depends on your capacity. Number 3, sex should never be part of this sin of SCENE. I pray that God gives you wisdom and the grace to do the right thing, even as a believer, and not to do things the worldly way. The worldly way is messy, it is loud, and it is wrong. May God bless you, even as you make the right decision.